Hello, nonprofit leaders. I'm Sarah Olivieri, your host, and this podcast is here to assist people like you, executive directors, board members, and other nonprofit leaders make a bigger impact with insights, tips, and lessons learned from nonprofit leaders and experts. Having been an executive director, a board member, and now a consultant and coach, I truly understand the challenges you face. And that's why I'm here. I'm all about working smarter, not harder, so you can make a bigger impact without the burnout. And so is our sponsor, DonorBox. DonorBox isn't just a suite of helpful fundraising tools, it's a partner that helps you raise more money and supports you in retaining your donors. I love their forward-thinking approach. Visit donorbox.org to learn more. And don't forget to sign up for the Inspired Nonprofit Leadership newsletter, where you'll get bite-sized, actionable tips just for nonprofit leaders like you, delivered weekly to your inbox. Sign up at inspirednonprofitleadership.com/sign up. Okay, let's dive into today's episode. I'm really excited to be with you today to talk about capacity. So I'm wondering, do you ever feel like no matter how much you optimize, you are still maxed out? Well, today what I want to do is break down for you why you might always be at capacity and why it's not really about time management, but something else. So here's the thing. When it comes to capacity, oftentimes we think about, well, how much time in the day do I have, right? There just isn't enough time in the day. But usually, what we need to focus on instead of our schedule in terms of time in the day, instead of delegating in terms of what can I delegate off my plate so I don't have to spend time doing it. Instead, we want to think about optimizing for our energy, the true limiting factor of our capacity. And yes, we will all hit some sort of human capacity limiter at some time, right? But when we really, if you see people who are like, oh my God, it seems like they get so much done. What the key here is energy optimization. Spend your time doing things that energize you. Delegate away things that don't energize you. So let's just go into some specific. On your calendar itself, you can actually create more energy in a couple ways. One, you can learn how your natural energy flows through the day, right? I use an app on my phone that actually helps identify this for me. And it reminds me when I'm going into my peak energy period. So there's usually like a morning peak and an afternoon and an evening peak. And then there are lulls between them. So I try to do my work in my energy peak and just naturally rest when it's a low period. And by doing that, I actually get more done and I get more rest. So that's one way you can optimize by energy by time of day. Another way you can optimize your energy in the day is about what it is you're doing, right? So I like to try to have the things that bring me energy. And sometimes those are profitable things in my business, right? But other times they aren't. Like there are things that I enjoy doing that energize me that are maybe kind of manual labor. And that's okay. Like this is a weird one, maybe. I just love wiping down the counters in my kitchen. Like certain other parts of cleaning up are fine or here nor there, but that final where you just get everything kind of looks all clean and neat, that just makes me feel good. It energizes me. It makes me feel like so much more is possible. So much more is doable, at least in my kitchen. So it gets me excited about like what I'm going to cook or, a project I might want to do with my son. So think about What are the activities that energize you? Fill your time with those. And remember, you can delegate in a number of ways. Delegate off your plate by eliminating an activity that doesn't bring you energy, changing the way you do it, having somebody else do it, um, sending it to automation, right? There's lots of ways to get things off your plate. Another thing to recognize is context switching. So we lose a lot of time literally to context switching when we switch from one activity to another, from one context to another. Our bodies have to transition, our brains have to transition. And when you really start thinking about optimizing your time, this becomes relevant, but it's also relevant to optimizing your energy. So when we switch from one activity to another, we lose a chunk of time, a percentage of our time. And studies have shown that basically, if you're switching between 5 different contexts in a day, you're losing the majority of your day to context switching. Like you're literally spending more time changing from one thing to another than you are doing anything at all. So, and I encourage you, Google context switching, hit the images tab and see the graphical representation. You will have like mind blown. Um, but with this time loss, we're also experiencing energy loss. It costs energy to change, right? It's in scientific terms, we think of like, energy being lost. What is it? The law of thermodynamics. Anyway, we don't have to go the science side of things. You lose energy switching. So try not to switch contexts. Bulk your things together, not just to save time, but to save your energy, right? And this allows us to be more efficient, more effective, get more done. And side bonus, which maybe should be the main bonus, is you're going to enjoy your time more because things that energize you and excite you, they usually feel good too. So you're going to spend more time feeling good. You're going to spend more time producing the positive hormones of feeling good and less time producing stress related hormones, which is going to have a whole nother positive cycle. You're going to sleep better. Sleeping better will help you feel better, even better. Less stress means you're going to be healthier overall, right? Stress leads to us being sick, quite literally. I say that as I have a cold right now. Unfortunately, not from stress, probably from kiddos being around. But I know, like, when I'm doing something energized and when I have a cold, when I do something that energizes me, even though I am sick, even though I have a cold, it's like my cold goes away. One of my favorite energizing and yet labor intensive activities is sailing. And Sunday we had the last sailboat race of the season, and someone was staying with me and they're like, "Oh, you're not feeling well. You're going to have enough energy to do your race." And I was like, sailing gives me energy. I don't have to worry about having enough energy to do it because the energy comes from the activity. And sure enough, while I was out there, like it was like I didn't have a cold at all, no congestion, no stuffy nose, no sore throat, no lack of energy. It was like I was perfectly well. Come home, slightly different story. Next day, oh, seems the cold is still there. But it was an energizing, healing, healthy activity and it gave me energy to do even more. So, what do we think about when we're always at capacity? Yes, thinking about how we spend our time is important and managing. We can't actually manage time, right? Because there isn't actually, we can manage how we spend our time. And within that, how we spend our time, the first thing I want you to prioritize is thinking about how you spend your energy. Because energy is not limited, right? There are 24 hours in a day, pretty much mostly 24 hours in a day, pretty much no matter what we do, right? No time machines here, but we can have a million ergs of energy or we can have 10 ergs of energy. And that is the big variable. All right. One more quick thing to touch on because I feel like if we're going to talk about why you're always at capacity, And we don't touch on this. It is not doing you a service. And that is when we think about how we use our time, when we think about choosing things that bring us energy, what we're talking about is being intentional with your time. When we're being intentional with our time, we are mostly staying in a proactive state, meaning we are deciding what we're going to do, and we're doing that with the intent of having some result come out, as opposed to being in reactive state where people bring us stuff comes into our life, and then we just react, right? When we're in an intentional mode, yes, sometimes we react, but we react knowing we are choosing to react. And many times choosing to not react and continue on our proactive path. So the layer of thinking underneath managing our time, underneath managing our energy, is being intentional in what we do and how we do it, and being proactive most of the time. When we are proactive most of the time, we own our energy. We own our time. Our time doesn't control us. Our energy doesn't control us. And when we own our time, when we own our energy, we choose to have the capacity that we want. We're not always at capacity because we can choose differently. We are only ever stuck in being at capacity all the time when we live in reactive mode. That's all I have for you today. If you would like to work with me one-on-one about reclaiming your time, your energy, your capacity, and scaling your nonprofit or for-profit business, you can reach out to me at saraholivieri.com/apply. Fill out a little form and we'll schedule a time to talk. And until next time, all the best.
You've been listening to Inspired Nonprofit Leadership. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode or the bonus episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a rating and review, and be sure to share with your friends and colleagues. Tune in every week for more useful insights and wisdom on nonprofit leadership. Thanks so much for all you do for the communities you serve. Until next time, all the best.